Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. Today we have a real treat for our listeners. People may not know this guy. I don't know if they've been living under a rock somewhere or who they are, but this guy, his name is Nico Maglicic. He is a brown belt. He just took double gold at the open weight and his weight class at super heavyweight at Pans. I think last year you got a silver and a gold at Pans. Yep. Last year you got a silver at Worlds. He trains at Atos. He's out of Australia originally, and he's coming to us today from San Diego. Thanks for joining us, Nico.
No, thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So when did you make the move over to the States? Like, how did that happen?
I never thought I'd be doing this for like this trip in jiu-jitsu until it was like after school. I had like a gap year. And I decided I want to see what it's like training overseas. And I've always loved Andre. So I was like, I want to give it a go for Worlds. I train up and compete at Worlds. And ever since then, I've been hooked. So every year I've been trying to come here and try and do Pans and Worlds every single time.
Yeah, but wow.
After that first year, that gap year, I've been sold. Like, this is what I want to do. I love it.
Awesome.
So how does it work? Do you stay over there for like, say, 3 months and then come back and then go back again? Or
yeah, so like I stay because I got an ESTA, so I can only stay for around 3 months. And obviously, like financial situations obviously come in order as well. It's not easy. I have like the parents that helped me like the last few years, but this trip is all myself, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But it does take a toll on the financial situation, like accommodation, trying to get transport while I'm here. But initially, it's just 3 months at a time every single year. I try if I could, I'd do more. I want to try and do 6 to 9 months, but it's just trying to find the finances for that. That's all.
Absolutely. So what do you do for the finances? Like while you're there, do you do privates or do you take bar work?
While I'm here, no, nothing. I need to get like a working visa if I was to get anything while I'm here, but I just try and bartend at home and teach classes where I can and teach privates where I can, seminars. But when I'm here, if I want to do some sort of, I've got to get like a working visa, which I need to look into. I haven't really had a lot of look into that yet, but I know that's the direction I want to be doing.
Maybe marry an American chick and then you can like work.
Hey, you never know. You never know. That's another option. Marry into a rich family. I'd be like, hey, I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll do whatever you want. Just help me.
And what's the training like over there at Atos, Nico? Like, tell us about that, especially for the Worlds and Pans camps.
It changed. Like last year, it changes all the time. But the big main training sessions, like the comp class, and the comp class is like 2 hours long. And it's pretty draining. Like you're going through a war. Like I'm training with a bunch of world champions like Kine and Duante, Gustavo Batista, Jonathan Gracie, Andy Murasaki, a bunch of like world-class guys like for 2 hours long, and then trying to relax and rest up for the night class because he's like big Andre's big mentalities. If you want to do the open class, you got to do the comp class and the night class because that's like how many hours break you're gonna have in a comp situation. Like I trained this morning and I was pretty smashed from it. I had a little snooze. It is hard. It is really hard doing these sessions, but you can see why these guys are the best with the sort of training we're doing over here.
Is there much talk about like the B team and what they're up to? Like it feels like the B team is a trendy place right now to be training. You know what I mean? Whereas it's like a staple.
We don't really talk about. I don't really hear him talking about. Like I know Kine and a lot of guys train like Kine and train with Craig and met Craig, but he said Craig was a really cool guy. But they don't really talk about like the B team and that sort of stuff. I think it's more just focusing on the comps that they want to do in the year. So there's a competition and who they have to fight in those certain comps, but it's sort of just in the moment. But I haven't really heard that sort of talking about the cross training, anything like that.
Yeah,
maybe
awesome.
more in the ADCC period, but
Yeah.
now like the Worlds camp, you don't hear much of the no-gi stuff.
I got it. Yeah.
And you pretty much just train in the gi, is that right? Or do you train no gi?
I do train no gi. I train gi. I'm average. I'm all right. Like
You're not average.
this is just a hobby for me. No. I love it. I do love it. When I'm here, normally I just do the gi and at home more no gi, but I'm trying to do a lot more no gi while I'm here.
Yep.
It's just hard, like, because it's like we go on the gi season for Worlds. The first half of the year is gi training, and then the second half he really focuses on the no gi.
Yeah.
He still has no gi classes, but I guess because I got Worlds coming up, I just focus mainly on the gi.
Actually, I've just noticed I'm no pro at this, right? Like I don't follow it really closely, but I noticed there was a lot of like doping steroids use in the gi world. Is that right? Like recently?
Yeah.
Like, you have views on that, or is that like
Both. I think it was no gi as well, Anton.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
it was both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think as a sport, really, like I feel like they're gonna like if they're gonna like test these guys, you see a lot of people give them a lot of shit on social media. I'm like, don't give these athletes, excuse the French, like all this shit in the comments when 99% of people haven't been tested. You know what I mean? You know, and these guys are outstanding guys, and like you talk to them, and I'm like, I can understand. Like I've had mates who have been injured and need stuff to help them recover. You know what I mean? It's hard. Like I remember last year at Worlds, I did my elbow, and I took like over a month and a bit off, and I missed out on doing the ADCC trials. So you can see like what sort of why they take this stuff for recovery. You know what I mean? It's not easy.
Yeah.
My body's aching 90% of the time when I'm here. And I'm like, I can see why people use this. You know what I mean? But people have a go at so many of them. I'm like, don't have a go at them. You know what I mean?
Tall
like,
poppy syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, if you want to take it, fine. I'm not for it. That's not my thing. My supplement's just drinking on the weekends and partying and then back to training. But you need that. You need a break from jiu-jitsu. If I didn't have something to take me off of jiu-jitsu, I would have been burnt out years ago.
Yeah.
And for me, like going out on the weekend is sort of like resetting my brain for the week, you know?
Yeah.
Understood.
Nico, tell us about like your game plan or your mindset when you're at comp. Like you're quite a submission specialist. You'd submitted, I think, 4 out of 6 of your victories at the last Pans were by submission, and I think last year they were all by submission. Yeah, you pretty much submitted everyone.
Last year in the open class, I got the 100% submission rate, and then this one, only the final I didn't submit. Both finals I didn't submit. But
synchronized drinking. You guys both
didn't even plan that.
Well, I feel left out. We need to do this all together.
Oh, there you go.
I'm in for the next one. Let me know when the next one's happening.
When I don't really have like a game plan for when I compete. Like I hear everyone say like, Nick, what's your plan? Have you studied this guy? I'm like, no, I'll just turn up and fight. Like my mindset is if I'm trained enough and did what I've done, no matter what they should do, I should be comfortable in any situation. You know what I mean? And if it's a situation that like say if there's someone like, oh, I know he's really good at this position, it's like, okay, just try and avoid it. But I don't have like a specific game plan really. I just try and like go for the submission if I can. And if I'm having a hard time, I always try and get up on points because like in the end, it could come down to an advantage from a double guard pull from right at the start of the fight, which could really cost you. It's costed me multiple times, you know what I mean? But I just feel like watching the time and knowing how long you have and not leaving it for the judges is my big thing.
Yeah,
love it. You know? Actually, I love that, but for some of it, like, okay, just in my own journey, what I noticed is if I study something and then if I don't restudy it, just something simple, even single X, doesn't matter, right? But if I don't study it again, like 3 to 6 months later, I've forgotten to use it in my game, right?
Yeah.
like, while you have this view that I'll go out there, I should be trained enough, I've done all the work, like, how do you know everything, and B, like, what was it like earlier in your career where you weren't as prepared as you are now? Like, have you always had the same mindset?
No. Like there used to be a time when I was like, it wasn't before 2019, because 2019 I won double silver at Euros. That was my big first break at purple. And I went to Worlds twice before that, and I lost straight away, like within the first 2 rounds. After Euros, COVID hit, and then there's obviously that massive thing of not training, right? And I went to Worlds, first time I had it back, not last year, but the year before. And I lost first round. I kept thinking leading into the last Pans, like, I'm not ready, this and that. And I got silver in my weight, and I was ready. Just like, you know what, why am I here? You know what I mean? And then if it wasn't for like the guys pushing me to do the open class, I would never have done it. I was like a bit broken after the weight division. And when I won the open class, was like, with that reignited, I realized, like, no matter what you do, as long as you turned up to training and haven't like slacked off, you've done all you can leading up into the competition. And you're gonna have your bad days, you're gonna have your good days, but just a matter of, like, on your bad days, not letting those, making errors that will overcome your mindset leading into it. So now I'm very like, no matter what happens, I'm still gonna be competing against the best, and I'm still gonna throw down with the best, and I'm put on a show. You know what I mean?
Awesome, man. I love that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think I saw an interview with you after last year's Pans that you said after your weight division, you threw up in between your teammates said just go. You were like, I
wasn't feeling the best. No, I was feeling like pretty like squeezy. I wasn't feeling the best, but I think it's part of that as well was just my mindset too. You know what I mean? After the weight division, but like after the open weight, and when I won the open weight, I felt it was the best feeling in the entire world. I don't think, no matter what I said, there's no words to explain how happy that was, that one big break then.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And does that last, like that feeling? Because I noticed that as soon as I win medal, but I only win in like little comps, you know what I mean? But when I win, it's like
we all start somewhere. Then
I wake up the next morning, right? And it's like life is normal. And I'm like, what if I just won a world championship yesterday? Would life be just normal again today? You know,
yeah,
what does it feel like?
It lasts a while, that feeling. It really does. It does. Like I've said some stuff to my mates and this, blah, blah, blah. Like after Pans, I'm like, I'm the best brown belt on planet Earth. This is crazy. like not Australia, but planet Earth.
That's pretty cool.
now I got Worlds, gonna be the #1 contender, so I'm excited.
Yeah. No, you really
awesome,
are. So,
man.
Nico, tell us about your beginnings. Like, you're from Sydney, yeah? How did you get started in jiu-jitsu?
It all started with Dad. Like, I was actually really big in baseball when I was younger, massive in baseball, and he wanted me to do self-defense. He loved Bruce Lee, he loved martial arts, so it was like more just me doing self-defense. I never really thought anything of it. I was like trying to focus more on baseball, doing like the state team, that sort of stuff. And a lot of my friends were in the baseball too, so that's what sort of drew me to that. And it got to a stage where my mates weren't doing it no more. And I was like, well, I'll just continue doing jiu-jitsu. And then we were like, let's give it a go going overseas and competing. And it sort of grew over time, my love for jiu-jitsu. But I remember the one big break was when I had like a gap year and I came overseas to train with the best, was when it first was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, you go like through school and doing like training, competing. I competed a couple of times overseas through school, but like it was more like I'll probably go to TAFE. Mum wanted me to go to TAFE, and I was doing scaffolding at the time, and I was just thinking, I'm like, how can I do a job that I'm just going to be miserable waking up to? You know what I mean? So after that gap year was like when I really sold myself on this lifestyle.
Makes sense. Is there an end game for this? Like have your own school, or you know, become an elite coach, or just compete for money? Like, well, what's your game?
I have a lot of things I want to do. Like, I hear a lot of people say jiu-jitsu isn't everything, and that I think about that. I'm like, I would love to do jiu-jitsu forever, but I don't need to be the best jiu-jitsu fighter or like win 10 world titles. I just want to win a black belt world title, an open class, an ADCC title, and obviously I'll still be competing. But I'd love to live in Europe for a bit. I'd love to like live in Europe, train and do seminars all over Europe, that sort of stuff. They're sort of things. I haven't really got an end game right now. I've always wanted to maybe open a gym. I've never thought about it, but I've actually always wanted to open up a bar, which is crazy. I never actually thought that happened.
You could do both. Why not have like a business that has both of them? Yeah, in the day and then at night.
I could.
Yeah. And no one else has done that. Yeah.
I'm like part Croatian, part Colombian, mum and dad's side. So it'd be like an ethnic bar, you know, with like Colombian foods inspired and that sort of stuff. So something different.
Yeah, that's
don't listen to those losers who tell you jiu-jitsu isn't everything, man. Jiu-jitsu is absolutely everything.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say that's an emotional mix. Like your background, it's like growing up, was it quite a volatile?
It was spicy. It's a spicy childhood, you know.
Yeah.
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
That's true.
Put it this way, keep me on my toes, mum and dad.
Yeah. So they're very happy with this lifestyle. They
very
support
happy.
You.
Yeah,
sure.
Very happy. We had a like big chat on like my future, because they helped me the first few trips, and they were like, Nick, you gotta have one trip where you have to try and do it yourself to see if you can do this. And if you ever need help, obviously they're a phone call away. But they're very supportive of it, you know what I mean? Obviously they want the best. Mum wanted me to go to TAFE, so I have like a qualification. But in the end, it's just, they just want me to have like a roof over my head.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Segueing a little bit here, this is something that came up in the last podcast, so I'm keen to kind of press this a little bit further for the next few. And you did mention yourself as a jiu-jitsu fighter, right? Now, I know that if I ask an MMA person, they're always going to say jiu-jitsu is not fighting, right? I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about this, but I know that my fight or flight instincts really kick in a competition situation. Is jiu-jitsu fighting? That's the question I'm fascinated with right now.
When anyone asks me, I say it's wrestling in gay pajamas. Like,
so it's not fighting then? Is that your view?
I mean, it is fighting. It's just like, I would never do MMA. I would never do boxing. I think that's like the full martial art, you know what I mean? Doing stand-up as well. But I always said I never want to ruin this pretty face. So
okay. But if it was like on the street, would you use these skills in a fight 100% in their entirety, without boxing, without, you know, anything else? Would you win a fight? I don't know. That might be one way to look at it.
I'll say I have, and yes.
You have, and yes. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
A step closer to jiu-jitsu is fighting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I say it was just self-defense. Thank you very much. I just wanted to put that out there, self-defense. All right.
Just to be
it wasn't
clear,
a drunk night. It wasn't a drunk night. It was just me doing some self-defense. That's all.
So just to be clear, is jiu-jitsu like just binary? Yes or no? Is jiu-jitsu fighting?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No worries.
Nico, what's Andre like as a coach, or just the academy in general? Because obviously the family environment and all of that, or like, what's it like?
He is the most energetic guy like someone could have. Like when there's certain gyms I hear about that are very like serious and very strict, and I couldn't be in one of those gyms. I don't think I'd last. But Andre, I remember the first time going there, he was so welcoming, just like shaking my hand. Hey, how you going? So good to have you. And just talking to him, I'm like, far out, this guy's awesome. Oh my God, I love him even more. But with everyone, it's just every single person that comes into the gym, he's always so friendly. It's a very, very happy environment. It was the best decision going to Atos. Really was.
Awesome. Actually, I wonder.
And then sorry, Anton,
No, you go.
on that on competition day, like what's it like having him in your corner?
It's pretty cool. Like I remember the first time I like come train here, I'm like, oh my God, there's Klein, oh my God, there's Andre. I was like a massive fanboy. And it gets to a stage now where it's like they're just my teammates and my friends that just have my back, you know what I mean? Just like at home, you know what I mean? When I have my coaches at home at Grappling Education, and I'm coaching up kids over there, it's just that you build relationships with these people, you know. And now it's I just know I'm going to compete, and if he's like busy coaching someone else, some other black belt will be there to coach me, you know what I mean? But we always got each other's backs. It's really cool. It's really
awesome.
Have you ever experienced, like for me, I know if I look up to my coaches too much, it actually gets in the way of being coached. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever experienced that before? Like, I'm too busy trying to get it right or look good or, you know, not ask questions that look stupid, or do you have any thoughts around that stuff?
Like, I feel not really. Like, honestly, I feel like everyone goes at their own pace. You know what I mean? If you don't ask these questions, I remember there was points where I used to ask questions. You know what I mean? Growing up, and it gets to a point where like when you'll start answering these questions, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this is so simple to me. I'm like, why don't you get this? But then when they're doing it, I'm like, oh my God, I was like this at once. Do you know what I mean? But you have to ask these questions. You have to.
It's something you have to just go through until you come out the other side.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. All right, I got it.
Yeah.
And what's your week look like, Nico? You talked about doing the competition class and then the evenings. Do you weight train at all, stretching, any other supplementary stuff? Or?
One thing I really should be doing is stretching. Like I am so lazy because it is so boring. Like I've never just enjoyed stretching. If I would do it, I try to watch TV, but even then, I'm just like, you know what? Why am I doing it? I'm just going to sit down and make some popcorn.
That's really interesting because you're really flexible. Like, because you're a super heavyweight that's got a really flexible game. So
I feel like it's very weird. I've always had really good like flexible like hips and that. My hamstrings aren't so much, but I think just doing jiu-jitsu, playing guard, you build up flexibility just naturally. But like
you sort of do, and then you also don't. Like then you get it's a point of diminishing returns. I think after a while, then you start to
everything starts to seize up. You're like,
sure.
yeah, 100. Yes, I get you 100% with that. But in terms of like my week, I try and do like the comp class in the morning, which is the 7 o'clock class till 9. And then I'll stay and do the 9 o'clock till 10:30, so back to back. And normally the 9 o'clock fundamental one is more like me just trying to flow, just trying to like loosen up a bit, cool down. And then I'll try and like rest up till the night.
Can I ask what you actually do in the competition class? Is it just rounds, or are you specific training? Or
there's specific training. There's sometimes he shows like some technique that he saw that some of us need to work on. Sometimes it's just situation from one position. It's always changed. It's really good with Andre. He's always changing the sessions. It's not you don't know what to expect when going into the training session, but he's always finishing off with rounds. But it just changes all the time. Sometimes we're doing like 3-man switch, 2 in, 1 rest, that sort of stuff. But it's really unpredictable, the comp classes, and I feel like that's why it's so helped me so much. And you build up this mentality because you train, and it's like a competition when you're in there. You know what I mean? Those comp classes, it really hang on.
How many people would be in a comp class on average?
Oh, 20 plus, easy. 20 plus. But they're just your best guys.
Yeah.
And even the fundamentals, there are some good guys that don't even compete. There are some purple belts, and I'm like, oh my God, you're moving really well. Like, you can compete. And they're like, oh, I'm gotta go to work now. I'm like, there are so many people out there that have the potential to do it, but obviously they just live different lifestyles. You know, jiu-jitsu is just not just more of a get together for them to train.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. So you were saying, wait, he was saying about his days.
Yeah, so not Monday to Friday. While I'm here, Monday to Friday, I don't really do much during the day. It's either resting and cooking and just trying to rest up. I normally try and go out on the weekends, but of the nights, it's Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. I lift with Electron Performance. They like ride my program and stuff like that, which is good because before I used to train just like push day, pull day, leg day, and I used to like get smashed because I'd destroy my legs on one day and I turn up to class, I couldn't walk for 3 days.
Yeah.
So Electrum, which is down the road, some of the boys, they like sponsor some of the boys at Atos, and the training, I feel like I'm getting stronger and I'm able to still, I get sore, but I'm able to still train at a high intensity. And in terms of like the night classes, I'm doing Tuesday nights. Thursday, I sort of have the nights off to rest. And Friday nights, just depending how I feel at the end of the week, whether I train or just drill.
Yeah.
But that's it. 2 morning classes and then a night class or a lifting session.
Wow. So you're doing about 3 to 5 hours of jiu-jitsu a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
The hardest ones are the morning because like they're 3-hour sessions, and it's more like you just finished those sessions and you're just ready to go to sleep again because it's exhausting, you know. And then that's after like doing it 3 days in a row, your body starts to take a toll, and you're like, okay, do I rest tonight or do I go and do a light session?
Yeah.
Can I ask, like in competing, and also in this kind of level of, you know, so much training, do you have a part of you that suffers more than others? Like for me, I know, like when I'm competing, it's like this part in here, like I don't feel it in training, but when I'm competing, I must be doing so much with those muscles that I don't do in training. But like when you're like in a serious comp with lots of competitors, a big pool, is there a part of you, even with all of this kind of like holistic training, that you notice is just like you can't control it and it's the weak point, or you don't experience that?
No, I think my grips definitely in competition, they take a toll because like you get a grip and you hold on for dear life. And definitely the adrenaline takes a part of that as well. But I feel like over time you sort of like your body starts to get used to it a little bit and you start to feel it near the end of the competition. But it changes. Like last year I felt it a lot in my arms and my legs were absolutely destroyed. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But like this year in Pans, I just felt like my grips were really struggling in certain fights. Like I'll be there, I'm trying to pry open my fingers because they're just locked in from holding certain grips so tight.
Wow.
But it is like when you're there, you get a grip, you're like, this is so good, I can't let this grip go.
Yeah.
You know? It's like,
literally and emotionally.
And Nico, what do you think about, I mean, obviously you seem to specialize more in the gi, but there's a bit of talk about the gi, you know, being a thing of the past, no gi's the future. What do you think? Do you think the gi's dead, or?
I don't think the gi's dead. I just think, personally, I think gi people just aren't interested in watching those like technical fights. You know what I mean? Like I feel like no gi, it can draw a lot of attention because people are like, oh my God, he got a sick takedown. Oh my God, he escaped. In the gi, it's like you get entangled in certain positions and you're like, why doesn't you just get out? You can't. It's so much harder to get out of certain positions when they tie you up with lapels and that sort of stuff compared to no gi. But I think I'd like to think that the gi's not dying. Like I'm still falling in love with it. I know there's great competitors out there that's still trying to make it huge, like Nicholas Muragali, still trying to bring the gi up. Mika Galvawa as well. There's so many big names out there that still compete in the gi. So I like to think that it's not dying.
Do you think that maybe it's because the no gi seems to have a bit more money behind it? There's not a lot of comps with money in the gi. Yeah?
No, there's not. And I feel like it's because of the crowd it draws as well. Like ADCC draws a lot of non-jiu-jitsu fighters, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh my God, look at this awesome grappling, you know, and they get drawn to the no-gi. But when they say the gi, it's at a lot slower pace compared to the no-gi. And I think that's a big impact as well. But I like to feel like that money is going to start being drawn into the gi with all these competitors like Muragali, Mika Galvawa, a lot of competitors all over the world, you know?
Yeah, we need to support it.
It's interesting you mention him because like you guys are in the same weight class. So theoretically, like if you were to be promoted to black belt, that could be one of your biggest competitors.
There's only room for one Nicholas in this world. Not taking the title.
I like it. That's the spirit.
I've had my eye on him for a while too.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of him, so it's going to be exciting to take the throne.
That'd be an awesome matchup because like Anton, I don't know if you've ever watched Nico, but he's got just a beautiful game, especially for a super heavy. Awesome. Like for me anyway, like I love to see a super heavy pull guard and really dominate from the guard. So
thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go watch some matches after this, and you know, I'm excited. We should have done our homework, of course.
Yeah, we're very professional. We're very professional.
Awesome, man. And what's next for you? What's the next specific thing that is like getting your attention?
You mean after Worlds? Because Worlds is coming up in like 6 weeks,
So after Worlds, I'm probably gonna do a couple. I want to do San Diego Open before Worlds. I want to do a few more, but just financially, it's just that's the only thing. But when I get back, I'd like to start. I've got a lot of seminar opportunities I want to start doing a bit more of. I got my mate that from AOJ that we want to do kids camp as well that we're talking about. So a lot of things. Like next year, I'd like to do a lot more comps overseas, like Europeans. I'd like to do Abu Dhabi. And just trying to find the money when I get back home. I'll probably have a couple of weeks off to relax. I'd normally do every time I come back from Worlds. It's more of celebrating, just taking it easy for a few weeks because I need it, you know.
Awesome.
It's hard too because in Australia, we're so far away from everywhere else.
That's the big thing as well. I feel like if I was living in the States, it'd be a different story, but because I'm in Australia, it's like you got to think of these airfares and how much they're going to cost. And
the time, like it takes 24 hours to fly to Europe. So if you want to do that and compete, you probably need another week to acclimatize time-wise and stuff.
And there's this thing like you're in Europe too. It's like it's so cheap to travel around there. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do a few comps and then travel as well while I'm in Europe. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but I'm sort of just trying to live in the moment right now, you know.
Yeah, for sure. How old are you?
How old do you think?
Like 23, 24.
Thank you, because someone said I look like 30 the other day, and I'm like, 30? Like I'm 22 years old.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Awesome,
I had a mate.
You're living an amazing life for a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, no, that's
awesome. No wonder your parents are proud. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And you talked about the kids program there, Nico. What's it like there? Do you know much about the kids at Atos? Because I hear really great things about their kids coming up.
Overseas, I'm like, some of these kids are like, you know, they're going to be world champions because it's pretty mind-blowing some of the stuff they're doing. Like I was looking at some of what they're doing in rolls. I'm like, I didn't even do this since a couple of years ago. And I feel like people like over here, especially the coaches are really getting into the kids early, and you can see why. There are some really good up and coming kids at Atos where I'm like, wow, I wish we had that in Australia. You know, But over here, it's like jiu-jitsu. I feel like that's a big thing with USA and America, especially compared to Australia. They love their sports here. Australia, we got rugby and AFL. That's what you really hear about. Like over here, you hear everything. They got like the football. They got like so much money. It's like sport is life over here. You know what I mean? And it's just different. It's just very different.
Yeah, awesome, man. A lot of choice, a lot of opportunity for people to find their niche and go for it over there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, awesome, man.
We're nearly out of time, Nico. Did you have any more questions, Anton? Or
no, I'm totally.
No.
I'm in awe of you, brother. You're doing great work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're going to be king of the world.
I just wanted to ask any last thoughts, any final words?
I got nothing. I'm an open book right now. You might see an awesome interview after I win Worlds, but until then, just stay tuned on my Insta.
Yeah, awesome. Come back on the show if you win Worlds, man. We'll talk about it. That'd be amazing.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, we'll have this out in I think about a week or two. If you could share it on your socials, that'd be amazing for us.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I think we've got a few followers now, so we might get a few more with you.
Awesome. Let's do it. Make sure you let me know, and I'll be sure to respond. Not in 3 months. Okay?
For our listeners, it's taken me quite a few months to get Nico on the show, but he's here now. So thank you so much for your time, and
thank you for having me.
All the very best of luck at Worlds. We'll definitely be here cheering. That's the problem with the time zone difference. Yeah, you got to get up at like 3 in the morning to watch your matches, watch your fights. But yeah, we'll be here in Australia cheering you on, and bring home that gold.
Looking forward to watching you. I will.
Cheers,
all
man.
right. See you, Nico.
Have a good one. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.